Welcome back to Senior Green Thumbs. I'm standing here in one of the most spectacular perennial gardens you'll ever see. And here's the amazing part, this entire garden survives on just 3 inches of rainfall per year. These aren't annuals that you replant every season. These are true perennials plants that will return year after year, getting bigger, more beautiful, and more drought tolerant with each passing season. In Palm Desert's unique climate zones 9B and 10A, these 15 champions have proven they can handle our extreme heat while rewarding us with months of stunning blooms. Today I'm sharing the exact perennials that have passed the ultimate test, surviving and thriving in one of America's most challenging gardening environments. By the end of this episode, you'll have a complete roadmap to creating a garden that uses 70% less water than traditional landscapes while delivering year-round beauty that actually improves with age. Before we dive into our 15 stars, let's understand why Palm Desert is such a unique gardening challenge. We're sitting right in that sweet spot between zones 9B and 10A, which means our winter lows hover between 20 and 30 degrees Fahrenheit, while our summer highs regularly soar past 110 degrees. Most importantly, we receive just 3 to 5 inches of natural rainfall annually. Traditional gardening wisdom simply doesn't apply here. But here's the secret sauce. True perennials have a massive advantage over annuals in our climate. While annuals die completely and need replacing, perennials develop extensive root systems that go deeper and spread wider each year. I like to share the 3-year investment rule with my viewers. Year 1, they sleep as they establish roots. Year 2, they creep as they spread and strengthen. Year 3 and beyond, they leap into spectacular displays that will take your breath away. Plant number 1. Desert Marigold. This golden beauty, Velea multiradiata, is what I call nature's welcome mat. From October through May, it covers itself in cheerful yellow daisy-like flowers. The brilliant strategy here is that it goes completely dormant during our brutal summer months, then returns with the first hint of cooler weather. These plants self-seed naturally, creating those gorgeous natural drifts you see in the wild desert. What I love most about desert is its incredible longevity. Individual flowers can last for weeks, and the plant keeps producing new blooms continuously. The flowers are also edible, and have been used traditionally for teas and natural dyes. When you establish a colony of these, they'll naturalize across your garden, filling in gaps and creating that effortless desert cottage garden look. The seed heads provide food for finches and quail, making this a true wildlife magnet. After 3 years of establishment, you can literally ignore this plant and it will reward you with months of golden beauty. Plant number 2. Firecracker penstemon. Ituni is the hummingbird's breakfast table. Oh. Those brilliant red tubular flowers appear from February through April, creating 18-inch spikes of pure fire. This is a true Mojave Desert native, which means it's perfectly evolved for our exact conditions. The flowers are followed by interesting seed pods that provide winter texture. The individual flowers are about an inch long and perfectly shaped for hummingbird. The plant forms attractive clumps with lance-shaped leaves that have a subtle blue-green color. Native Americans traditionally use this plant for respiratory ailments, though we grow it purely for its ornamental value. One mature plant can produce dozens of flower spikes, creating an incredible display that lasts for months. The seeds are also valuable food for desert songbirds, extending this plant's wildlife value beyond the blooming season. Plant number 3. Desert lupine lupinus. Sparsa gives us dramatic purple flower spikes that can reach 2 to 4 feet tall. But here's the bonus: lupines are nitrogen fixers, meaning they actually improve your soil while they grow. Like our other spring awakeners, they're smart enough to go dormant when summer heat arrives. The flowers start at the bottom of the spike and work their way up, extending the bloom period for weeks. Each flower resembles a tiny sweet pea, and they're absolutely irresistible to native bees and butterflies. The plant has distinctive palmate leaves, like fingers on a hand, that emerge silver gray and mature to blue-green. Desert lupine is particularly valuable because it thrives in poor sandy soils where other perennials struggle. The nitrogen fixation happens through specialized root nodules that partner with beneficial bacteria, literally fertilizing the surrounding plants. When the flowers fade, they produce interesting twisted seed pods that rattle in the wind, adding another layer of sensory appeal to your garden. Plant number 4. Autumn Sage Salvia gregii. is what I call the non-stop bloomer. While other plants are gasping in the heat, autumn sage just keeps producing flowers from spring through fall. You can find varieties in red, pink, white, and purple. The only time it takes a break is during our coldest winter weeks, and even then, it's just resting, not dying. The flowers are small but produced in incredible abundance. A single mature plant can have hundreds of blooms at once. The leaves have a wonderful herbal fragrance when crushed, and they're naturally deer-resistant due to their essential oils. This sage is incredibly drought-tolerant once established, but responds beautifully to occasional deep watering with even more prolific blooming. The plant naturally forms a neat rounded shape that requires minimal pruning, making it perfect for busy gardeners. Bees absolutely love the nectar-rich flowers, and you'll often see native carpenter bees and honey bees working the blooms throughout the day. Plant number 5. Blanket flower Gaillard oris stata is the sunset painter of the perennial world. Those orange and red daisy-like flowers, with their distinctive banded petals, bloom continuously once established. Cut them back hard in winter, and they'll explode with new growth come spring. They're also fantastic for cutting and bringing indoors. The flowers have an almost painted appearance, with colors that range from deep burgundy centers to bright orange and yellow tips. Each bloom can last for weeks, and deadheading spent flowers encourages even more blooms. The plant develops a deep taproot that makes it incredibly drought-tolerant and wind-resistant. Blanket flower is one of the few perennials that actually prefers poor soil. Too much fertilizer will give you lots of leaves but fewer flowers. The seeds provide food for goldfinches and other seed-eating birds, and the flowers attract beneficial insects, including hoverflies and butterflies. Native Americans used this plant to make yellow and red dyes for blankets and clothing, which is how it earned its common name. Plant number 6. Desert willow now. You might know Chalopsis linearis as a tree in other climates, but in palm deserts zone 9B and 10A, it behaves like a large herbaceous perennial. Those orchid-like flowers are incredibly fragrant and appear in waves throughout the growing season. Hummingbirds absolutely cannot resist them. The flowers come in shades of pink, purple, white, and burgundy, often with contrasting throats and delicate ruffled edges. The long, narrow leaves flutter in the slightest breeze, creating movement and sound in your garden. Desert willow is incredibly fast-growing once established, and can reach 6 to 8 feet in height in our climate. The seed pods that follow the flowers are long and twisted, resembling vanilla beans, and they rattle musically in autumn winds. This plant is virtually pest-free and requires no special care once established. The flowers have a sweet, honey-like fragrance that's strongest in the evening, making it perfect near patios or seating areas. Plant number 7. Fairy duster Caliandra eriophylla produces the most charming red powder puff flowers you've ever seen. In our mild climate, it can bloom nearly year-round. It's a pollinator magnet, attracting butterflies, native bees, and beneficial insects that help keep your garden healthy naturally. The flowers are made up of dozens of tiny stamens that create that distinctive fuzzy powder puff appearance. Each bloom lasts about a week, but the plant produces flowers in continuous waves throughout the growing season. The delicate fern-like foliage provides fine texture contrast in the garden and remains attractive even when the plant isn't blooming. Fairy duster is incredibly heat and drought tolerant, often thriving in spots where other plants struggle. The plant naturally forms a low, spreading mound that works beautifully as a border plant or ground cover. Native American tribes use the flowers and leaves to make a tea, though we grow it primarily for its ornamental and ecological value. Plant number 8, red yuka Hesperello parviflora, is the sculpture garden star. Those sword-like leaves provide year-round structure, while the 4 to 6 foot flower stalks appear repeatedly throughout the growing season. The coral red tubular flowers are hummingbird magnets, and the plant itself is virtually indestructible once established. Despite its common name, red yucca isn't actually a yucca at all. It's more closely related to agaves. The flowers appear on multiple stalks from spring through fall, with each stalk producing dozens of individual blooms. The plant forms attractive clumps over time, with new rosettes appearing around the mother plant. The leaves have interesting curling fibers along their edges that add textural detail even when viewed up close. Red yucca is completely deer-resistant and requires absolutely no supplemental water once established. The spent flower stalks can be left for winter interest or cut back to encourage more blooms the following season. Plant number 9, Desert Spoon Dacilarian Wheelery, is what I call the living fountain. That perfect spherical form of sword-like leaves creates incredible architectural drama. When mature plants send up their towering flower spikes, sometimes reaching 12 feet, it's one of the most spectacular sights in desert gardening. These plants are extremely long-lived and become more impressive with each passing year. The leaves have distinctive serrated edges that catch and reflect light beautifully throughout the day. Male and female flowers appear on separate plants, with females producing clusters of papery seed pods that rattle in the wind. The plant grows very slowly, adding only a few inches per year. This means virtually no maintenance once established. Desert spoon is incredibly fire-resistant and often survives wildfires that destroy surrounding vegetation. The dried flower stalks can be harvested and used in dramatic floral arrangements that last for years. This is truly a plant that you plant once and enjoy for decades, becoming a defining feature of your desert landscape. Plant number 10, Agave perri. This is your century showstopper. Agave perri takes 15 to 20 years, but when it does, that dramatic flower stalk can reach 15 feet tall. The parent plant dies after blooming, but not before producing numerous offsets around its base, ensuring your garden legacy continues for generations. The rosettes are perfectly symmetrical, with blue-gray leaves tipped with dark spines that create incredible geometric beauty. Each leaf is marked with distinctive imprints from the leaves that surrounded it during development. The flowering stalk grows at an incredible rate, thus sometimes several inches per day, creating daily drama as it reaches for the sky. The flowers attract bats, turning your garden into a wildlife spectacle. After the parent plant dies, it can take several years for the offsets to mature, but each one will eventually repeat this incredible cycle. The dried flower stalk can remain standing for years, creating a natural sculpture in your garden. Plant number 11. Goodings verbina. Verbina. Gooding is the purple carpet that spreads 3 to 4 feet wide and covers itself with tiny purple flowers during spring and fall. It's smart enough to go dormant during extreme summer heat, then returns with cooler weather, perfect for slopes or areas where you need erosion control. The flowers are tiny individually but produced in such abundance that they create a solid carpet of color. The plant has a wonderful trailing habit that makes it excellent for cascading over walls or filling in between stepping stones. The leaves are small and gray-green, providing an attractive backdrop for the vivid purple blooms. Goodings verbena is incredibly drought-tolerant and actually blooms more prolifically when grown in poor, well-draining soil. The flowers are beloved by butterflies, particularly skippers and small blues that appreciate the tiny nectar sources. This plant readily self-seeds in favorable locations, helping to naturalize difficult areas of your garden. Plant number 12. Desert Maragold. Yes, I'm including a second desert marigold. Maragold variety, because this cheerful spreader is just that valuable. It self-seeds to create natural drifts and provides 6 to 8 months of continuous blooms. The secret is learning to appreciate its summer dormancy as part of its survival strategy. This particular variety has slightly larger flowers and a more compact growth habit than our first selection. The blooms have that classic daisy form with bright yellow petals surrounding darker yellow centers. Individual plants can live for several years, getting larger and more floriferous with each season. The flowers close at night and during cloudy weather, opening again when the sun shines. It's like having a natural weather indicator in your garden. Desert marigold nectar is particularly attractive to native bees and beneficial wasps that help control garden pests. The dried flower heads provide winter interest and food for seed-eating birds throughout the cooler months. Plant number 13. Brittle bush and Celia farinosa gives you the perfect combination of silver foliage and bright yellow daisy flowers. That naturally mounding form makes it ideal for slopes or informal borders. The silver leaves are beautiful year-round, while the flowers provide spectacular spring color. The leaves have a wonderful woolly texture that helps reflect heat and conserve moisture. During peak bloom, a single plant can produce dozens of flower stalks, creating an incredible display that lasts for months. The plant naturally forms a perfect dome shape without any pruning, making it ideal for formal or informal garden designs. Brittle bush is incredibly fire-resistant and often used in defensible space plantings around homes. The resin from the stems was historically used by Native Americans for medicinal purposes and as a natural adhesive. After blooming, you can either leave the seed heads for birds or cut them back to maintain a tidier appearance. Plant number 14, desert lavender Hyptis emery is what I call desert perfume. Those intensely fragrant purple flower spikes bloom from fall through spring, filling your garden with the most incredible scent. Like many of our desert perennials, it's wise enough to go dormant during summer heat. The fragrance is released not just from the flowers but from the leaves when brushed against, making it perfect for planting along pathways. The flower spikes can reach 3 to 4 feet tall and are absolutely covered with tiny purple blooms that attract bees from great distances. The plant has gray-green leaves that provide an attractive backdrop even when not in bloom. Desert lavender is incredibly long-lived and becomes more fragrant with age as the plant develops a woody base. The dried flower spikes retain their fragrance and can be used in potpourri or sachets. This plant is completely deer-resistant and actually becomes more aromatic when stressed by drought, making it perfect for our desert conditions. Plant number 15, Damianita chrysactinia mexicana completes our collection with tiny yellow daisy flowers and aromatic foliage. This golden cushion blooms in spring and fall, and when you brush against the leaves, they release a wonderful herbal fragrance that lingers in the air. The plant forms a perfect rounded cushion that looks almost sculptural in the landscape. Individual flowers are small but produced in such abundance that the entire plant glows golden during peak bloom. The needle-like leaves are evergreen and provide year-round structure and fragrance. Damianita is incredibly heat and drought tolerant, often thriving in the most challenging microclimates in your garden. The plant attracts tiny native bees and beneficial insects that are often overlooked but crucial for garden health. This is one of the longest-lived perennials you can plant, with some specimens thriving for decades with absolutely no care. The dried foliage can be harvested and used to make aromatic teas that have been valued for centuries. These 15 perennials represent more than just plants, they're a 20-year investment in your garden's future. While your neighbors are replanting annuals every season, your perennial garden will become more spectacular, more drought-tolerant, and more valuable with each passing year. Quoting months for Hugh. The cost analysis is compelling. Initial investment is higher, but over time, perennials cost a fraction of annual replacement plants while providing exponentially greater beauty and environmental benefits. Until then, start planning your perennial paradise. Share photos of your existing perennial gardens with #PalmDesertPerennials. I love seeing your successes and helping solve any challenges you're facing. Remember, in the desert, patience creates paradise. Thanks for joining me on Senior Green Thumbs, and I'll see you next week for more water-wise wisdom.